Hello everyone. I'm gonna do a video on a rundown of self-harm, cutting, burning, a few different things like that. So this could be triggering for some, but I know it can help many. So if you are a cutter or anything under those terms, then this video will have some resources and a few different things for help as well. But if you know somebody that is, it's going to have warning signs, it's going to have an overview of what it is, and resources to get people some help. But I will say that as a cutter myself from many years ago, cutting is a way to cope and does not mean that the person wants to die. Basically, self-harm is a way to survive. It gets complicated, and if you haven't done it, it's very easy to say, oh, that's crazy. Like, why would you want to do that? There's a lot more to it. Cutting is when a person deliberately hurts himself by scratching or cutting their body with a sharp object. The reasons someone might do this are complicated. People who cut themselves might be trying to cope with frustration, anger, or emotional turmoil. It might be an attempt to relieve pressure. By any such relief is short-lived and may be followed by feelings of shame or guilt. There are people who cut once or twice and never do it again. For others, it becomes a habitual, unhealthy coping mechanism. Cutting is a form of self-injury, not typically associated with suicide, but it can lead to severe, even fatal injuries. What causes a person to cut? There are no easy answers as to why a person turns to cutting, though there are some general causes. A person who self-harms may have difficulty understanding or expressing emotions, not know how to cope with trauma, pressure, or psychological pain in a healthy manner, have unresolved feelings of rejection, loneliness, self-hatred, anger, or confusion, and they may simply just want to feel alive. People who self-injure may be desperate to break the tension or rid themselves of negative feelings. It could be an attempt to feel in control or to distract from something unpleasant. It can even be a means of self-punishment or perceived shortcomings. It's certainly not always the case, but self-injury behavior can be associated with conditions such as bipolar disorder, depression, drug or alcohol misuse, certain personality disorders, obsessive-compulsive disorders. In time, the act of cutting can become similar to an addiction. What factors make someone more likely to injure themselves? Age. People of all ages self-injure, but it tends to occur more in teenagers and young adults. Adolescence is a time of life when emotions and conflicts and how to deal with them can be confusing. Sex. Both males and females and non-binary individuals cut themselves, but it's believed that girls do more often than boys. Trauma. People who self-harm may have been abused, neglected, or raised in an unstable environment. This is not always the case, though. Identity. Teens who cut may be questioning who they are or confused about their sexuality. Social circles. People who have friends who self-injure may be inclined to do the same. Peer pressure can play a role, especially during the teen years. On the other hand, social isolation and loneliness can also be a factor. Mental health disorders. Self-injury sometimes goes along with other mental issues such as depression, anxiety disorders, eating disorders, and post-traumatic stress disorders. Drug or alcohol misuse. Those who tend to cut themselves are more likely to do so if they are under the influence of alcohol or drugs. How can you tell if somebody is cutting? There are exceptions, but people who cut generally go through a lot of trouble to hide the fact. People who self-harm may frequently criticize themselves, have troubled relationships, question their personal identity or sexuality, live with emotional instability, have feelings of guilt, hopelessness, and worthlessness, have an impulsive nature. Upsetting events can trigger the impulse to cut. If someone is cutting, they might frequently have fresh cuts, particularly on the arms and legs, have scars from previous cuts, keep sharp objects like razors, blades, and knives on hand, cover up their skin even when the weather is hot, make excuses about cuts and scars that just don't ring true. A person who cuts may also engage in other self-harming behaviors, such as scratching or picking at wounds, burning themselves with cigarettes, candles, matches, or lighters, pulling out their hair. What should you do if you discover your loved one is cutting? If you discover that a loved one is cutting, reach out to them. Children and teens, friend to friend. If you find out your friend is cutting, remember that you are not responsible for their behavior or for fixing it, but you might be able to help. What your friend needs right now is understanding, so let them know that you are there for them. It is important to let them talk to you without any judgment. Suggest that they talk to their parents about cutting. If they aren't comfortable with that, suggest they speak with the school counselor or other adult that they trust. If you are very worried and you don't know what to do, tell your own parents or a trusted adult. Parent to child. If your child is cutting, they need compassion and guidance, and they need to know that you love them no matter what. Punishing them or purposely embarrassing them will be counterproductive. Make an appointment to see a pediatrician or family doctor right away. Have your child examined to make sure that there is no serious wounds or infections. Ask for a referral to a qualified mental health professional. You can also do some research on your own to learn about self-injury, strategies for overcoming it, and how to avoid relapse. Once a therapist sets up a treatment plan, support your child in following it. Consider joining a support group for parents or people who have loved ones that self-injure. Adults, friend to friend. If you have a friend who is self-injuring, urge them to see their doctor or mental health specialist. They have enough on their plate, so try not to pile on with disapproval or ultimatums. Don't imply that they are hurting people who love them, because guilt doesn't work and often can make things a lot worse. They won't change until they are ready to do so. Until then, continue spending time with them and ask them how they are doing. Let them know that you're ready to listen if they want to talk, and that you will support them in their recovery when they do seek help. When to seek emergency help. Cutting isn't usually an attempt at suicide, but an accidental injury can quickly become life-threatening. If someone you know is bleeding heavily or appears to be in immediate danger, call 911. Suicide prevention. If you think someone is at immediate risk of self-harm or hurting other persons, call 911. Stay with the person until help arrives. Remove any guns, knives, medication, or other things that may cause harm. Listen, but don't judge, argue, threaten, or yell. If you or someone you know is considering suicide, get help from a crisis or suicide prevention hotline. Try the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. What complications can develop because of self-injury? Cutting can exacerbate negative emotions. It can also lead to worsening mental and physical problems such as increased feelings of guilt and shame, becoming addicted to cutting, infection of the wound, permanent scarring, severe injury requiring medical treatment, accidental fatal injury, increased risk of suicide. There are many treatments available. That would be something for the mental health facility or the pediatrician or regular doctor to cover. The National Alliance on Mental Health, NAMI, N-A-M-I, is a national organization, has a toll-free helpline available Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. ET, and the number is 1-800-950-NAMI. You can also reach NAMI by email at info@nami.org or text NAMI to 741-741. Safe Alternative, which is Self-Abuse Finally Ends, has a lot of resources and stuff that you can look up on their website. And Self-Injury Outreach Support is another website that you can look up that has stories of coping and stuff like that. There is approximately 70 to 90% of people that choose self-harm in the way of cutting the skin. Can't find where my fish went. I guess she's hiding. Head banging or hitting is at 21 to 44%, and burning is at 15% to 35%. There is plenty of resources out there that will help you. One of the Self-Abuse Finally Ends hotline is 1-800-DON'T-CUT or 1-800-366-8288. So if you have anybody that you know that is self-harming and could possibly need some of these resources, or if you yourself do not understand why somebody you love is self-harming, hopefully this video will help you. And as always, if anybody would like more information than what I am posting, because I'm not going to do a series on this one because I don't really want to trigger people into cutting, because I know back in the day just hearing about it would trigger me and make me want to. So I am not going to do a series on this topic for the safety of others. But if anybody needs to reach out to me, I want some more information, different hotlines or ideas, or just want to, tell me what they've been going through, I will gladly listen. You can email me at truth.honesty.transparency@gmail.com. And once again, if you email me and you do not want your story told, I will not read it online. If you do want your story to be put out there for others, if you give me permission, then I will read your email, but I will contain your name and your email address so that will not be public. So hopefully this video will help somebody, or at least help somebody understand what one of their loved ones is going through. Have a good day.